You know, I only thought as we get started, we could have literally spent the last 10 minutes just watching the Indie Direct and saved so much time. We could have just done that. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I just didn't. Oh, hey, look, it's the Splootfest. We've got Splootfest 1, Splootfest 2, and Splootfest 3. We chose Team Rabbit, I think, because we're not a lesbian and we're not gay. So yeah, I think we chose Team Rabbit. How's that actually going to pay off? We'll see. Right now, Team Gay's winning. Okay. Ooh, look at that mask. Alright. The bubbles are new. I'm assuming because this is a seasonal Splatfest, that's why there are bubbles. And that's why there's like this. Huh, that's very interesting. It's kind of neat, I guess. I like the bubble effect, that's cool. Alright. So today, let's get our bucket back. I've been using this thing for like the past week. Now I'm actually fine with what we've got. So, today... oh gosh. We got two news stories. We got the Nintendo Direct, the Indie Direct, which we're just gonna watch. I mean, I did not watch it when it was live. I did skim through it at some point, but I'll be honest, I don't remember what happened in it. I remember a climbing game. There was a climbing game. There was a Wario Land inspired game that everyone was comparing to Pizza Tower, calling a Pizza Tower ripoff, even though supposedly it was announced before Pizza Tower. I don't know. And then there was a Metroid Dread game, which, again, we'll get to it when we get to it. We have that. We have more PS5 stuff. Right. It's the year of new consoles, so of course we have PS5 stuff to talk about. Oh yeah, I forgot the... Oh, and the ink has confetti in it? That's neat. You know what? I know it's always like, oh, Splatoon, right? You're given ink colors, blah, blah, blah. I actually think one of the things a future Splatoon game would benefit from is an ink customizer setting. Even though it's only on, like, your end, right? Like, because all the players only see, right, like, their own stuff, right? Like, it's kind of like, was it TF2 or was it Overwatch that worked like that? Where, you know, you're always a certain color team. Like, no matter which side you're on, you're always, like, blue team or something. And the enemy is always red team. Maybe it's the opposite of that. I don't know, there was one game that worked like that. But yeah, I would love for, like, a future Splatoon game, as one of the mini cosmetics you unlock, to be like, hey, you want sparkly ink? Well, there you go. You want to make your ink look like donuts? There you go. Right? Because every customization feature in this game is all related to the lockers, and, like, that's fine. But I could see that being, like, a customization thing they give to players. And, you know, and of course there's always just the option to keep it like it always is. And I could also see them doing, like, a completely random setting, where it just randomizes everything from what you have. That'd be neato, burrito. Yeah, so we got some PS5 stuff because, you know, every week this year there's either PS5 or Switch or Xbox rumors. I think last week it was an Xbox rumor, so this week it's a PlayStation rumor. I feel like all the Nintendo rumors have kind of died down now that the Switch 2 has been sort of indefinitely delayed until next year. I feel like people have stopped talking about the Switch, which I'm fine with. And instead, all that energy has been moved over to the PlayStation, which people cannot shut up about. And I guess the Xbox. Again, last week there was I don't know. I know one week we went back for back, where it was a Switch rumor this week, then a PlayStation rumor the next week, and an Xbox rumor the week after that. Yeah, one week we went 3 for 3. That would have filled up our bingo card. Oh, we gotta talk about Game Changer. I feel like we haven't talked about any of this season of Game Changer. Kind of like how I keep forgetting to talk about the Marble League. So we gotta talk about that. And of course, we got tons of stuff on Fallout. Right, last week we had watched the first 2 episodes of Fallout. As of this week, I have finished the show. So I do have plenty to say about Fallout. Because I really did enjoy it. I've got a few other things as well. So, yeah. So let's start off with PlayStation. So, it was... I think originally I saw this reporting from The Verge. But it was the PS5 Pro. Its specs got leaked. So we know a little bit more about it. Of course, I don't know all the technical jargon. I don't know what any of it means. But basically, the 2 big things... The first one is ray tracing. Right, ray tracing is this big thing that PlayStation, I guess, is going to try to be pushing on PS5 Pro. Right, they want developers to... because the PS5 Pro has better GPUs and graphical cards and shit like that, they want developers to focus on ray tracing as like the... oh, this game plays better on PS5 Pro. They want ray tracing to be like the big selling point. Like, that's their big push. So that's the first big thing. The second thing is the GPU. They have improved the GPU by 45% compared to the PS5, right, the normal one. And now, 45%, that's, you know, that's almost 50. That's almost, right, that's in theory, that doesn't sound like a minor change. But, as people did point out, the change between the PS4 Pro and the normal PS Pro, right, the normal PS4 and the PS4 Pro, was over like 120% GPU increase. So, like, in comparison to the previous generation's mid-season upgrade, this one's a lot less, actually. Yeah, it's like 70 less than, right, the PS4 to the PS4 Pro. Which is kind of wild when you think about it, but I guess I kind of see where that came from. But yeah, you know, that's their 45%. What that actually does in the grand scheme of things, it makes the game load faster, better, stronger, work it harder, make it better, stronger, faster, something, something, something. The other big thing is they have this new system called PSSR. It's not the Play Soviet something something of Russia. No, it's basically on... there's this big thing that, like, is it AMD or NVIDIA? They're pushing, like, this DLSS thing, which, like, allows you to, like, not overclock your system, but, you know, it's designed to be, like, a mode where you get, like, better performance from your games. I don't know. I know there are different... Each system has, like, a different version of it. NVIDIA has one. AMD, I think, has a different one. One of them is DLSS. The other is, like, FMR or something like that. But basically, PlayStation has made their own version of this type of software called PSSR. What that stands for, I do not remember. But it's, you know, it's like an overclocking thing. It's supposed to, it upscales your games, makes them better, supposedly. I don't know. I know the Switch, Nintendo's working on something very similar for the Switch 2. Right? There have been rumors that Nintendo has been working on something similar to that since the Switch Pro rumors that turned out to not be true, question mark. It's the Switch Pro rumors are complicated, to say the least. But yeah, it looks like, right, it's just, it seems to be a way that companies are trying to get the most out of their systems without having to, like, completely reinvent the wheel or anything. I don't know. I've never used DLSS. I don't even know if my system can do that, because it's not a best system. But I know it is a thing that exists. So other details, this system is coming out in the holiday season. They're aiming for a holiday 2024 release date. Yeah, okay, you know, you want to get it in around Christmas time. What else do you expect? I mean, that's when the original PS5 came out. That's when all these consoles come out. It's always around Christmas time. So that's the first big thing. The second big thing is the price point. The price point on this new system is supposedly, and again, this is, take this with a grain of salt, because out of everything that's said here, this is like the one I feel the least confident in. $600. That's fucking expensive. Like, I know there have been gaming consoles that are more expensive than that, adjusted for inflation. I want to say, was it the Neo Geo? That's like over $1,000 adjusted for inflation. I want to say the NES was like $600 adjusted for inflation. Something wild like that. So, right, this is not the most expensive console adjusted for inflation, but it's still, $600 is like a lot. It really does feel like a lot of money. And I don't know how to feel about that. $600. Oh shit, 10x. $600 is a lot of money. I'll be honest, I'm out. Even if the upgrades were, even if it was doubling the GPU or whatever, I don't think there's anything specs wise that can get me to switch from just a default PS5 into a PS5 Pro. That's not really shit I care about. Even when because I didn't get a PS5 or PS4 until after the PS4 Pro came out, but I didn't buy a PS4 Pro. I was perfectly content with the normal PS4. And outside of the controller, which is just, it fucking could not hold a charge, and my controller had drift, and yeah, I did not love the I did not love the DualShock. I know people really like the DualShock 4, or I think it's the DualShock 4. I know people really like that controller. It's way too buggy. It was kind of a mess, honestly, at least when I used it. So I do not care for the DualShock 4. So yeah, there's nothing in here that really appeals to me. If I'm just being blatantly, fragrantly honest, nothing in this appeals to me. It's way too expensive. And I also have to now save up for a Switch 2. An actual new console is coming out next year, and I would much rather save money for that instead of your weird, mediocre upgrade that is way less appealing. So yeah, and by the way, I'm already saving up for a Switch 2. I have been saving up for a Switch 2 since, what, October of last year? That sounds right. It was whenever Starfield came out. I started saving up for the Switch 2 after Starfield came out. And the original plan was, to save up enough money by I want to say a full year. My goal was October, go from October to October, and that hopefully by the time the Switch 2 was coming out, I'd have enough. And now I have theoretically another like 5 months. So, you know, maybe I'll be able to get a second controller or something on launch. I don't know. We'll see. Because, yeah, I'm still just going to keep putting money in that savings account until it's needed. This is why budgeting is so important. So yeah, no, the PS5 Pro does nothing for me. Like, who cares? It's new PS5. Yay, wow, this does nothing for me. I don't know. I'm sure some people are excited for it. I ain't one of those people. We actually won a 10x battle. I don't even know if I've ever done a 100x battle. There's a possibility I've done one once. Oh shit, this controller... whatever, it'll be fine. It'll make it the next hour. I've never seen what happens if you fill up all those shells as well. I think the most 10x battles I've ever had, and that may be, you may have to fill up those shells to get a 100x battle, but the most 10x battles I've ever had is, I think, 4 in one Splatfest. I can't think of a time I've had more than that. Alright, so the next thing we gotta talk about is the indie world. So, instead of just, you know, doing it, we're just gonna watch it, you know, like an indie world. That button? Oh. Okay, I accidentally clicked ahead. You know what? Like I said, just, you know, fuck it. Let's just actually watch the thing. So, I have not seen this question mark.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Indie World.
You know what? I don't know what I broke on my computer. But, like, at the bottom, there's a button where it's, like, internet and volume. And, you know, usually it pops up, like, a little menu that shows, like, hey, these are your connected devices. This is your current volume. Are you wired? Are you streaming? And now I click it and it does nothing. And then at some point it got fixed and now it's broken again.
I don't think anybody's going to notice. Let's go. Hi, I'm Matt.
Alright, so we got Double Dagger Studios here, and there's a cat. This sounds familiar, Little Kitty Big City. It's a cute idea anyways.
It's grown a lot since then, but the core is still the same. It's a game about being a little cat.
A little cat in a world filled with exciting distractions.
Made by people who love distractions.
Cat VTuber.
We hope you love Kitty.
There's no way that doesn't exist. And I'm not talking like furry. I'm talking like cat model like that. Like cute little cat. There's no way Cat VTuber doesn't exist. In a world of thousands of VTubers, each more original than myself. Because I'm not going to say it's my favorite because I don't actually watch them. I don't watch any other VTubers. But I love the one who is like a little octopus on top of an anime girl's head. Or I know there's one that's like a slime on top of like an AI's head. Those are clever. I think that's a clever way to do, for a male streamer to still have, you know, the attractive female in it. That, you know, is totally not the reason people watch VTubers. They totally watch it for the games. I don't know, I'll be honest, cat games have a good track record recently. I mean, people really liked Stray. Stray was great. Gato Roboto's a lot of fun. That game is very cute. Third example that I can't think of. There was a third example of a cat game. Stray, Gato Roboto... I swear there was a third one. It looks fine, though. Is this the... I made a joke about a Metroid game earlier. Is this that? Yeah, this is the Metroid game. So, I'll be honest. This just looks like Metroid Dread to me. You'll see once we get into it. But it just looks like Metroid Dread to me. And when I say... I'm specifically, like, even just, like, style-wise. Like, once you get to, like, the actual level design... It just looks like it, the way they move. Yars Rising. Yeah, look at it. It just kind of... It reminds me of Metroid Dread. Like, visually, the way the character moves, right, stealth sections. It just looks like Metroid Dread. You have the robots you hide from. Now, I don't actually have a problem with that, because I like Metroid Dread. But, you know, like, there's a... Again, we'll get to the Pizza Tower game eventually. And I saw everybody freaking out about that one. And yet, I don't think I've heard anyone talk about this one. I don't know, it looks fine. It's got a good... It's, you know, WayForward. I don't really trust Atari, but I trust WayForward.
A journey of self-discovery.
I don't know how to feel about this game. So this is Refine Self, the personality test game. And, you know, it's a game, but based on your actions, you know, it's like a personality test. And it's like the completionist in me thinks there's like an interesting idea to be like, you know, like an RPG. Like, can you play the game to unlock every personality? Like, what options change things? Like, I don't hate that idea, but as, like, an actual, like, personality test, I think personality tests are inherently kind of stupid, be that the Myers-Briggs, or, Hogwarts houses, or, God, fucking space racism, astrology, God, fucking space racism. But, you know, as like a completionist goes, I don't hate the idea. Depends on how long it is as well. I think that's the other thing. Like, if you can like beat the game in like 2 hours, then yeah, I could see you doing a bunch of runs of this. But as like an actual like personality test, nah.
Hi everyone, we're Spy Garden Games, the developers of Sticky Business. We drew our inspirations from the businesses and creators
which game was
popping up
this?
on social media. It's been so inspiring to see all those fantastic artists create cute stickers, assemble beautiful packages, and learn about their customers' wholesome stories. So, we wanted to make a game where you can experience exactly that for yourself.
Oh, okay. You know what?
Just a short project.
I think this could be fun.
So many people like the concept.
I think this game is out already,
Excited for you to play on
but
Nintendo.
I think this game could be fun, if this is what I remember being. You know, it's stickers. I'll be honest, I have never been a sticker guy, because I'm one of those people who's like, oh, well, you know, you only get one sticker. Alright, I don't want to, like, waste it. Like, I know people have, like, water bottles. And they put all these stickers on their water bottles. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't have any bumper stickers on my car. I'm not a sticker guy. But in a video game, I could see myself, you know, like, especially, like, where you have to, like, make, like, these patterns, and, you know, you're given specific design challenges. This is something I could get down for. That's why I think I like the Stanley Cups, is because people don't put stickers on Stanleys, because, like, that's part of the branding / social status thing. Whereas, like, water bottles, who cares? Laptops, people put stickers on their like, I see people at college who put stickers all over the cover of their laptops, and I'm like, no, I couldn't do that. I'm just not a sticker guy. But a game could be fun, right? I don't think of myself as an unpacking guy, but unpacking is a very good game. So this could be good. Yeah, the game's out right now.
If you're looking for explosive, calming, or mysterious journeys, we've got you covered with this trio of upcoming indie games. Check them out.
This is the Pizza Tower one. That I know this game is technically based on the Wario Land games. Specifically Wario Land 4, if I remember correctly. I don't know, I've never played a Wario Land game. They have not made a Wario Land game in like 20 years now. No, maybe closer to 15. Somewhere between 15 and 20 years. It's been a while. I think the last game was Wario Land Shake It on the Wii. Which, I don't know if that was good or not. But I've never played a Wario Land game. And I was kind of waiting for Pizza Tower. And I was actually kind of hoping Pizza Tower was going to be in this direct. But it's not. But this looks fine, you know. But yeah, supposedly this game's been in development longer than Pizza Tower. So, like, people who were calling it a Pizza Tower ripoff are like, no. Because this game's, yeah, it's been in development longer. This is the one I remember.
In Valley Peaks. As the new technician assigned to the peaks, you'll climb, glide, and even use your tongue to scale the mountains, setting up radio towers so the locals can happily reconnect.
So this game reminds me of A Short Hike, but also Little Gator Game. And for a second, I was like, is this made by the guys who did Little Gator Game? Because it looks a lot like art style-wise, it looks a lot like Little Gator Game. And I was like, oh, is this like the next... Because Little Gator Game came out in like 2-3 years ago now. It's been a while. So I could see them doing a new game. But no, this has nothing to do with any of them. I do not remember... The developers of that game have made other stuff. Don't remember what any of it was. But no, that... I love a good mountain climbing game, if it wasn't clear. Love Celeste, love a Little Gator Game, love the third one I said, A Short Hike. I'm totally down for whatever that is. Or was it... What developer was making that weird bobblehead? Was that Young Horses? What was that weird, like, photo game with, like... These weird, like, it was revealed at the Game Awards. So this game I'm only interested in. The one we're currently looking at. Because it's the studio that did Sayonara Wild Hearts. I love some Sayonara Wild Hearts. You know, it's Annapurna. If they're gonna do more, sure. What fucking studio am I thinking of?
It blossomed with the help of an amazing collective of friends, all bringing their piece of magic. It all started with the idea of using watercolor art style to evoke peaceful and zen vibes. I wanted it to be a meditative experience and to tell a beautiful story through gameplay that's able to put the player in a state of flow. I really hope you enjoy the world that we have.
It wasn't
created here, and I
Fogs.
cannot wait to
What the
show you.
fuck was that
Thank you
game?
so much.
Some say that humans brought life to Europa. If you ask me, all we
This is driving me crazy.
it was sleeping within.
Big Walk.
Europa
Oh, it was the Goose Game developers who are doing Big Walk. Okay. I was like, I know it's a developer from a game I recognize, I just couldn't think which one. It's Goose Game.
that is why I'm sending you ahead.
Is this... It reminds me of... oh God, what was that game? Not Hyper Light Drifter. It was a running... I can't... Pathless, maybe? I mean, it's way more colorful than Pathless.
Can't decide about tomorrow.
This doesn't look bad at all. Sonic Frontiers? Okay, that's mean.
Choose to become.
That's mean. This looks better than Sonic Frontiers.
It's your world now, Steve.
Fucking Sonic Frontiers. Europa. Yeah, you know, it looks fine.
Order up some pizza.
A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Teenagers and mutants and ninjas and turtles. we've been getting a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. I know some of them were remakes, but we've gotten, like, in the past, like, 3 years, this has got to be, like, the 4th Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I know some of those other games are really good, though. Like, some of the beat-em-up ones are pretty good. I'm not a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. I never was as a kid. I was more of a Transformers kid. Which we'll talk about actually a little bit later, because there was... we'll talk about it a little bit later. Yeah, no, I was a Transformers kid. I didn't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know, I hear that... I did really like that movie that released last year, Mutant Mayhem, and I've heard great things about that Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or whatever the most recent TV show was on Nickelodeon. I've heard great things about it, I just never watched it. Because again, I'm not really a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan.
Enjoy exploring iconic locations solo, or jump online with up to 3 bodacious buds in co-op play. Your team of turtles can drop in and out whenever they want, making for a no-crash play sesh. Get ready to fight the foot when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate launches.
Oh no, it's a time travel game. Oh no.
Pizza's here!
It's pizza time. This is what, the 3rd one of these? Yeah, Cat Quest 3. I've never played any of these games. I know they are games that exist. Are they... They remind me of... They kind of... Shantae, maybe? Is that what I'm thinking of? They're not Metroidvanias, are they? Nah, I mean, they could be, but I don't think so. There's like a map screen, but it looks like there were dungeons. Yeah, it's like a lot of the combat takes place on the map. I don't know what to think of this. I don't know, if they're making a 3rd one, the first 2 are probably good. Oh, hey, look, it's the Lego NES. I have one of those that I haven't built yet. Sometime this summer.
We are part of the creative team behind Stitch, a puzzle game about handmade embroidery. It is such a blast for us to merge our shared passion for art and craft into our game.
Yeah, the closest I get to this is I know how to sew a button. That's one of the only things I remember from middle school. Because there was like a home economic... I think it was called home ec. It was something like that, but, you know, it was part cooking class, part, like, home, like, how do you sew clothes? How do you sew a button? How do you work a sewing machine? How do you... It was stuff like... I can only remember the sewing stuff. I know there was other stuff in there as well. Yeah, it was like home ec or something like that. And the one thing I remember from that class is how to sew a button. And I still know how to sew a button to this day.
Here's the nitty-gritty on this cozy game.
But I think we did stuff like this.
To bring stunning embroidery
Maybe.
to life. Stitch together groups of cells according
I honestly think this could be a great game. I think this is a fun idea. Is it like a Pictionary or not Pictionary? What the fuck am I thinking of? What's the Sudoku? What the? Is it Sudoku that I'm thinking of? Picross. Maybe I'm thinking of Picross. Maybe I'm thinking of both actually.
the potential to offer
I
relaxing and
genuinely, I think this might be a good game.
also enjoy with
I would not, like, this kind of reminds me of stuff like
completing a hoop.
Unpacking,
Play it again in freestyle
that I
mode.
think would actually be very fun. Or it also reminds me a little of A Little to the Left.
Hint feature can be used at any time.
Yeah, it reminds me of A Little to the Left as well.
Your experience with various
Ooh, that's good.
accessibility settings.
Want more of a challenge? Try the
That's
limited
cool.
time daily Shikaku puzzles. These ones don't offer any hints, so you'll really need to
Oh,
put your
no.
thinking cap on.
Weekly hoops are
But how do you know what's...
Each one is inspired by real
Huh.
life events and filled with trivia.
I genuinely think, depending on how much this is, this might be actually a really good game.
Plus, once a weekly hoop is unlocked, it's yours to play whenever you'd like. Stitch launches as a
Oh, and it's
console
available
exclusive
today, yeah.
Nintendo Switch
Yeah, that might actually be great. I could see myself having a good time with that. Good podcast game, maybe?
Before we go,
You know me, I value a good podcast game.
to Nintendo Switch.
Especially because I'm... You know, I got caught up, and then immediately I fell back behind. On Podquisition. I got caught up, and then just the next week it was like, nope. Alright, and I haven't listened to it in like a month. This one I'm interested... Shim? I think this is genuinely a great idea for, like, navigating the shadows. It feels very fun and creative. Do we have a release date for this? It might have said something. Animal Well, isn't this next month? I don't know, this is Donkey's production company. Or distribution company. Whatever it is, this is a big mode. And genuine, again, I've kind of, even though I don't actually like Donkey, I'm actually rooting for his company. Like, because if they succeed, then I succeed as well. You know, like, there's nothing to be lost if they succeed. And I also don't lose anything if they fail. This is still my most anticipated game of the year. Like, yeah, I know Metroid, or, not Met, I know Mario the Thousand Year Door is going to be great. But guess what? I've played that game before. Another Crab's Treasure I haven't played. And that comes out in like 7 days. That's my most excited game of the year.
Steve, take a look.
Silksong? No, of course not.
Ready to sail the spectacular
Oh, SteamWorld?
in this long
I have never played one of these games. I want to pick... I have had probably the oldest game in my... You know how you can make a wish list on the Switch eShop? The oldest game in my wish list is SteamWorld Dig 2. Because that was like a launch title, or it came out within the first like 6 months of the Switch. And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll finally try one of these games. Because I heard great things about it. And it's still there, what, 7 years later? 6, 7 years later? So yeah.
You can explore the world map and engage in real-time naval
And I think I've heard good things about these ones as well.
with your submarine with a variety of weapons and items.
It's something I have to check out at some point.
You can even befriend Steambots along the way, recruit them to your cause, and embark on an epic voyage together. As you get to know more bots, you'll learn how your actions impact their lives.
Plus, with the new job system and in-depth character customization, along with over 150 weapons, utility items, and ship equipment pieces, you can strategically craft your crew to best fit the mission at hand.
Your Steambots' jobs and abilities depend on their equipped weapons and levels. Each different crewmate also has unique abilities that can be unlocked.
Of course, you can also steal and wear your enemy's hats. So many hats!
Yeah, this one looks fine.
And blast bots to bits when SteamWorld Heist 2
Heist 2.
ricochets onto Nintendo Switch August 8th.
That's all for
So yeah, that was the Indie Direct.
We hope
I think it's fine. Like, it's kind of, it's interesting that the thing I'm most interested in is that stitching game. That might genuinely be good.
follow our official Indie World account to stay up to date on the
Alright, so let's call that there. Yeah, I think the thing I'm interested in the most there is that stitching game. But if I had to choose between that sticker game and that stitching game, I'd probably choose the stitching game. Huh. That's interesting. So yeah, I don't know. What else? What else do I have? So of course, people when because a few days before so back on April 1st, right? We got the Hollow Knight Silksong Xbox page, and then like last week, Hollow Knight Silksong was rated in Australia, so people were freaking out, thinking like, "Oh my God, is this it? Is this finally the thing where we get Hollow Knight Silksong?" And I was like, no. Hollow Knight Indie Directs are for smaller indie games. Hollow Knight Silksong has kind of transcended that, and it's clearly a main Direct kind of game. Or, more likely, it's an Xbox game. Because, you know, Xbox had it last time. They're gonna have it next time as well. As much as people don't like to think about it like that, yeah, no, we're not seeing Hollow Knight Silksong until June. I mean, you know, Xbox could do like a big Hollow Knight Silksong reveal earlier than that. But there's a good chance we're not getting anything for a while. It's gonna be a while. So yeah, no Hollow Knight, no Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower would have been cool, but nah, we got something pretty close, and I'm sure it's equally good. I don't know, I still know nothing about Pizza Tower. That I heard it's good. Also that climbing game also looks pretty good as well. Again, we saw that Valley game, not Hidden Valley. That's a ranch. Whatever that climbing game was, I like myself a good climbing game. Little Gator Game is really... that's what I compare it the most to, is Little Gator Game. Which, if you have never played Little Gator Game, go play Little Gator Game. It's a Breath of the Wild-like. Which, yes, I'm calling it a Breath of the Wild-like. Because it's Breath of the Wild. And it's really good. Like, it's the best Breath of the Wild-like that's not Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. It's better than that Ubisoft game, Immortals, Phoenix Rising. It's better than fucking Horizon Forbidden West. Probably not better than Elden Ring. Okay, I'll give Elden Ring that. Elden Ring's pretty good, supposedly. But I'll say it's better than all those other ones. So the other game that was not in that Direct, that was an indie game that got announced like either the same day or this week, that I just quickly want to mention is Bread and Fred. So Bread and Fred is it's one of those couch co-op games, you know, those Steam co-op games, where you play as two little penguins. One is named Bread, the other is named Fred, and you're roped together, and you have to, like, ice climber style, climb a mountain, right? It's supposed to be one of those really difficult games, you know, kind of like not Nightfall. What the fuck is that? Tower Climb? Nah, Tower Climb doesn't sound right. Is it Jump Knight? Jump King? Maybe Jump King sounds right. You know, it's one of those really difficult platformer games, but you're playing as two little cute penguins named Bread and Fred. And, you know, you have to take into account their momentum. That as, you know, you can swing the penguin around to, like, shoot yourself off and gain more momentum. It's really cute. It's probably really fucking difficult. Like, it's obviously supposed to be, like, one of those... Even though it's got a really cute aesthetic, it's definitely one of those rage platformers. But I'm also kind of very much interested in that. And that got a release date of May 23rd. So it's about a month away now. And yeah, that sounds good. I like that idea. It's one of those games where I was like... I looked it up a few months ago, and I was surprised it hadn't been announced for Switch already. So to see it get a Switch trailer, I was like, oh, cool. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be difficult, and I'll probably hate myself after playing it. But I could see myself having a good time. So yeah, Bread and Fred. I guess that takes us into WIBE. So what have I been doing? Any food stuff? No. I have no food stuff. I haven't been anywheres. Yeah, no, I haven't done anything. At least I don't think so. This week has been... Last week was very busy for me. This week was less busy than last week, but still very busy. Just in... kind of different ways. I don't know. I'm really hoping that as of next week, my week gets a lot easier. Like, it's like, I feel like I just have to, you know, survive Monday, and then the rest of the week's gonna be pizza, pie, cake, easy. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so it's been a busy week. I haven't done shit. Okay, the one new thing I do have is soda. I technically have 2 new sodas, but I only found them today, and I've only tried one of them. So this year is the year of Mountain Dew Baja Blast, right? They're selling it all year long. It might also just become a permanent thing, which I kind of hope it does, because again, it's the best flavor. But along with Mountain Dew Baja Blast, they're doing 2 new flavors. One is like a mango lemonade that, I'll be honest, I tried, and it's okay. Like, I think we talked about it either last week or 2 weeks ago. It was okay. Like, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. Like, I'll get through. Basically, I'm not gonna, like, there are certain Mountain Dews, like the Flamin' Hot Cheeto one, where it's like, oh, I'm going to have these until the end of time, so I should just throw them out. No, I'll actually get through these. But the other new flavor they announced was Point Break Punch. So a few years ago, Mountain Dew, when they first released, one of the first times they released Baja Blast on the market, they had 2 new flavors alongside it. One of them, I think it was like a pineapple flavor. They had a pineapple Baja Blast, and they did a fruit punch Baja Blast. And the pineapple Baja Blast I didn't think was that good. It was like a pineapple coconut. Did not care for it. But the fruit punch Baja Blast is the best flavor of Mountain Dew. And then the next year when they brought back the pineapple one, they didn't bring back the fruit punch one. Instead, they made a new flavor that nobody gave a shit about. And so this time, they got rid of the pineapple one, but they brought back the fruit punch one, and guess what? The fruit punch one, it tastes exactly like I remember it. If you're, and I'm not talking like, I'm not talking like Tiki Punch, or even like, not Tiki Punch. I'm not talking like, is it Tiki Punch? What's the Hawaiian Punch? Is that what I'm thinking of? The guy on the surfboard, like the blue, white, and red guy on the surfboard. I think that's Hawaiian Punch. When I say, right, Point Break Punch and Fruit Punch, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about High C Fruit Punch. I'm talking about Tiki Punch. So, right, there's the specific brand of soda called Tiki Punch. It used to be more like, I feel like it's not that common anymore. It used to be more common. Like, I feel like the only place I've seen it is there's like a 4-pack you can get at Sam's Club. I think it's Sam's Club. It might be Costco. That comes with a Hawaiian Punch, an orange soda, a Sprite ripoff, and a grape soda. And honestly, it's worth getting that collection just for the Tiki Punch. But then Mountain Dew released the Tiki Punch, and it was like, oh, well, I guess I never need to get that stuff again. But it's always, of course, only a temporary item. And I think Tiki Punch is one of the best sodas ever. Like, it's so fucking good. But it's one, again, it's rare. And I think that's what makes it good, is that it's like a special thing that you only get on very rare occasions. So having this, it's like, oh, well, you know, Mountain Dew's doing it. And, like, I haven't had this stuff in, like, 3 years, so that's really cool. It's probably been longer than 3 years, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, 5. So I was super excited to try Tiki Punch. Or the Point Break Punch. It took me a while to find some. And there was a part of me that, like, once I did find it, I was like, God, is this even going to taste as good as I remember it? Like, because again, I thought they changed the recipe once and really disappointed me. So I was like, oh, fuck, is this just going to be the bad one? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to gamble. I'm going to buy 2 cases instead of 1. So I bought 24 cans. And it was a good gamble. I'll go through those like fucking butter. They're so good. It's, again, I think it's the best Mountain Dew. I think it's the only, it's definitely a personal thing, but I think it's the only Mountain Dew that's better than Baja Blast. Because Baja Blast is the best one, no questions asked. The other new soda I got was, there's Coke Spiced, which is like a raspberry Coke. It might be, I hope it's not cinnamon, but I know it's like a raspberry Coke. And I just want it to be good. Like, Raspberry Coke doesn't sound terrible. I have not been the biggest fan of Coke in recent years. I think Coke is, like, super fucking underwhelming, in my opinion. And, like, really, Coke kind of sucks. Like, there are much better, more flavorful sodas that you can get out there. That are definitely probably worse for you. Like, Coke's not good for you either, but there are definitely things that are worse than it. But, you know, I was like, oh, cool, I'll get that. And then I did, and I just haven't tried one yet. I was going to try one live on stream tonight, but I'm like, I can't do this. It's almost fucking midnight, man. I can't drink a soda this late. I'm already out of water. You know how disappointed I am that I'm out of water? So yeah, we'll talk about it again next week if I remember. But this week, I got Point Break Punch, and that's all I asked for. Because, God, that stuff is good. So yeah, there's that. What else? What else have I been doing? I haven't seen any movies. We'll talk about the two TV show things here in a second. Games I've been playing. I went to boot up Fallout 76. Because, you know, I've played Fallout 4. I've played Fallout... I've played Fallout New Vegas. I haven't played Fallout 3 in, like, 15 years. And I'll be honest, I kind of don't want to. I know Fallout 3 is not the weakest game in the franchise. Again, you can make the good argument for 76. It's the worst game in the franchise is Brotherhood of Steel, let's be honest here. But I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll boot up Fallout 76 again. Maybe we'll give that a try. And then I booted it up on Xbox, and it was like, oh, you need Xbox Live or Xbox Game Service thingy. And I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, I forgot that's a thing that you need. Because this isn't a live service game where they give it to you for free. Oh, shit, yeah, I forgot about that. So I did not play Fallout 76. Instead, I just booted up Fallout 4 again. Did not start a new character. Just booted up my character from the last time I played the game back in, like, what, 2020? Right. And then I just explored the Commonwealth a little bit. Did I die? Oh, yeah, I came across a raider with a fat man who just completely fucked up my shit, like, multiple times. But other than that, you know, everything went fine. You know, it's Fallout. It's still really good. I probably will buy, like, a month of Xbox Live just to play Fallout 76 again. Okay, so I watched a YouTube video sometime in this past week that was, can you beat Fallout 4 following the California gun laws? So, right, they as not a lawyer, did their research to try to make a list of California gun laws. And then they played Fallout, surprisingly not New Vegas, they played Fallout 4, but they tried to follow all the gun laws. So, you know, no magazines over 10. You have to wait 30 days between buying a gun. Once you buy a gun, you can't use it for 10 days. Shit like that. They played a very melee-heavy character at the end of the day. But it was a very entertaining video. It was made by Charlatan... Oh, what the fuck was their... It was Charlatan something. I'm sure if you look up Fallout 4 California gun laws or something like that, you'll find it. It was a very entertaining video by a creator I had never heard of. And it came out in the past, like, 5 days. It's like a relatively recent video. Perfect timing, right? The fact that they got it around the time the show came out, perfect timing. And I really enjoyed it. And it's kind of like, and the video ends with them mentioning Mitten Squad. And, like, them saying, like, hey, I had this idea for the video a few months ago, but when I originally was going to sit down and do it, that was right around the time Mitten Squad passed away, and I didn't want to, like, jump in on that and be seen as, like, like I'm riding the hype or whatever. Are all my controllers dead? Oh, shit, I think all my controllers are dead. Come on. Yeah, my controller just died. I did not expect that to die. And then this other one is dead. So no. Or this other one just wasn't paired. That was the problem, is it wasn't paired. So I had to pair it real quick. So yeah, I watched the video ends with the whole thing about Mitten, right? How they didn't want to like be like chasing the coattails, like, oh, Mitten Squad passed away. Now I'm gonna be the new Mitten Squad and do challenges. It was actually like the video was very sincere, and like instead of having like an ad break, they have like this whole moment where it's like, instead of, you know, thanking a sponsor for this video, instead take a moment to appreciate yourself. And right, how would like all the good you do, and you know, we don't give ourselves enough credit. And it was something like, it wasn't that, but it was something like that. And it was a very wholesome video. They did there's a cooking segment halfway through the video where they make a pastrami burger, which actually doesn't sound terrible. I just think of the Fuckface podcast. There's Jeff got addicted to pastrami for a while. And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, oh, you know, I kind of want to get into pastrami now, I guess. And then I just never did. So seeing that pastrami burger reminded me of that. But yeah, it's a really good video. I recommend it. And it got me thinking, like, you know what? Because the video ends with not like a call and response sort of thing. Not like a call to action, I mean. But instead being like, you know what, if you want to pay tribute to Mitten Squad, maybe do your own challenge run of Fallout New Vegas, right? Just kind of, because, you know, someone's only legacy only ends when people stop saying their name. So, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do a Fallout, right? That makes me want to do a Fallout run, like a challenge run. I don't know, I'm honestly, like, I don't have the determination of someone like Mitten Squad, right? You saw me do a Nuzlocke. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, do I? But then I was like, my first thought is, oh, you know what? Because I don't think Mitten Squad ever did a video in Fallout 76. And I don't blame him for that. But I was like, you know what would be interesting to see if we could do, can you beat Fallout 76 with only legendary weapons? Because I'm sure, like, I know legendary enemies spawn, but I'm sure legendary weapons just spawn that you can, like, go and pick up. Like, I'm sure they have, like, a rare spawn chance. But I'm sure that can spawn. That'd be an interesting challenge, right? Because I don't think the story of Fallout 76 is that long. I know you just have to find a cure for the Scorch Cur? It's some sort of plague, the Scorch Plague or something like that. I know there's a ton of new stuff in that game nowadays, but I'd be like, you know what, I'd be willing to give that game another shot to try to beat it with... Again, I think the challenge that makes the most sense is legendary weapons. Assuming that's even possible. But I was like, oh, that'd be fun. So yeah, it's definitely something I would consider giving a try. So yeah, I don't know. Is that a thing I'm actually... Because I know last week I had said I'd consider streaming Fallout 4. And I still kind of am, honestly. But I was like, that'd be an interesting one. I just don't know what I'd do in Fallout 4. I mean, do I do a Brotherhood of Steel run? Because that's... You know what, actually... I don't think I've ever done the Railroad. Because my first ever playthrough of Fallout 4 was with the Minutemen. And then I think my second playthrough was siding with Father. Just, you know, just out of curiosity. I know I've never done Brotherhood of Steel, and I don't think I've ever done Railroad. So maybe I do a Railroad run? Because I know the Railroad run and the Institute run are basically the same. It's just the ending's different. Was that a 10X? I honestly don't know. We've been getting a lot of them tonight. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something I'm thinking about. That's I guess where I'll leave that. I don't know, I'd have to do some research into Fallout 76 to see if, like, can you just get randomly spawning legendary weapons? Because if the answer is no, then that run's completely fucked. But if the answer is then yes, then, like if you can just find, like, a legendary weapon sitting on the ground, then I think that run would be possible. It'd be a pain in the ass, but I think it's possible. I don't know, we streamed Fallout 76 twice as a joke. God, what, 2-3 years? Sometime during COVID. And it's one of those things where it's like, do I want to go back? Maybe I do. You know, I like those. I like Fallout games. But, you know, Fallout 4 has been fun. I've also been considering replaying New Vegas again, because it's been a while. And that one, I've only actually ever done one run of New Vegas, where I signed with the NCR. So I'd probably do either Mr. House or Yes Man. I have no interest in Caesar's Legion. Like, who gives a shit? Like, they offer me nothing. Like, House offers me more than them. But, you know, you gotta spice things up. So yeah, have I played anything else? Did I finally get around to that Princess Peach Showtime like I've been saying for the past, like, 3 weeks? No. I really should. I was talking to someone, like, this past week, and they were telling me, like, oh yeah, it's actually, you know, it's actually pretty decent, you know, it's a pretty good time. It's got some problems, sure. And, like, one of them is, like, the fact that they never reuse costumes. Like, once you use a costume once, or, like, I think it's, like, 3 times per level, so you'll use the cowboy costume 3 times. And then that's it. Like, it never shows up again. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, I would at least assume, like, the final battle would have, like, you use all the costumes. Kind of like the final level in Mario Wonder, where you're using, like, a bunch of the different, like, transformations and whatnot. And it's like, oh, that's really interesting. But no, I guess they just straight up don't do that, which is weird. Yeah, and then I don't think there's been any other game, you know? Nothing else that's really, like, appealed to me. Nothing else that's been like, oh yeah, I've got to play that. I was talking to, I was also, same guy who was talking about Princess Peach Showtime too. I was talking, and he was like, oh yeah, is there any, like, Nintendo game you're interested in? And I was like, no, not really. I mean, yeah, Thousand Year Door is going to be good, but I've played that game at least twice now. This would be my 3rd playthrough. And yeah, sure, it's going to be a good 3rd playthrough, but it's not like it's something I'm excited for. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is in a similar situation, where I am actually a defender of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I know some people really do not like that game. I am not one of them. I actually think Luigi's Mansion is pretty decent. Or Luigi's Mansion 2. But I have, like, no interest in, you know, like, I'll play it, but it's not like I'm hyped for it or anything. I'm actually more interested in playing the original, because I didn't pick up the 3DS remake, and I have not played the original since, I'm gonna guess 2012? 2014-ish. It's been a while, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I'd kind of be more interested in the original Luigi's Mansion. Again, I totally think they could just do a port, like kind of like what they did for Pikmin 1 and 2. But we'll see. And then we don't know anything else Nintendo's doing after that. Like, I think Luigi's Mansion comes out in, what, June? And that's it. That's the last Nintendo game we know about this year. But Another Crab's Treasure comes out next week. And even though I do not care for Dark Souls games, I'm willing to give that one a chance. I think that might be the good one. That might be the game that convinces me to play Dark Souls. I've totally not written that out. So let's talk about Fourth Wing next. I have been reading the book, or it's specifically Iron Flame, the second one. There are some things I really do like. So one of the things I mentioned as like a problem in the first book is, right, I know a thing or two about the military, and I know a big deal in the military is that there's this sense of, like, brotherhood, that, you know, everyone matters. No soldier left behind, you know, that's really important for making a cohesive military. And Fourth Wing is, it's a military academy that just has a blatant disregard for life. Like, nobody's life matters. Everyone's going to die. Why even bother? And as a result of that, I haven't given a shit about any of the characters. Like, the only ones I even kind of care about are Violet, Zayden, Imogen, Liam, who fucking died. Liam's sister, whose name I don't remember. Solus? I don't know, there's like 3 soul names. There's like Solus, Solstice, Solaris. There's a bunch of like soul names like that. I don't know, Liam's sister. And I think that's it. That sounds right. Like, those are the only characters I care about. So yeah, it was kind of a problem. It was a problem in the first book, and it's still kind of a problem in the second book. But they at least get some sort of vindication, because eventually they team up with the Flyers. Like, we spend some more time with the Griffin Flyers, and you find out from the Griffin Flyers that no, they actually value life like a normal amount. Like, if someone fails a challenge, they don't just instantly kill them, For Flyers, life has value. And that it's just the Dragon Riders who are fucking weird. Right? It, like, that was a good acknowledgement. Like, that, no, it's not that, it's just specifically that our main characters are just kind of fucked up. Right? Like, it basically vindicated everything I've been saying up to this point. So that was good. I was glad to see that. And I like the Flyers as well. Like, I like how they're not like an evil version of our heroes, because it's more because it's war, it's more complicated than that. Sure, is this as complicated as Animorphs? Fuck no. No, this makes Animorphs look like fucking Shakespeare, because Animorphs is Shakespeare. But that's beside the point. But yeah, I like the Flyers. I like the whole thing where, so big, like halfway-ish through the book. Because God, so much has happened in the past week. Eventually, the main character has been keeping the secret about what's really going on, that they're fighting the Venom and all that. And then eventually her friends find out, and they mount this mission to go steal these books to, hopefully learn how to build the wards. Because the wards are you need a ward to, like, hold back the Venom, and you need a forge to make these special ward weapons that can kill the Venom. So they're working on both those problems, and eventually she gets her friends involved, because there are, like, these diaries that, they hope will teach them how to make a ward. Because for the forge, they need, like, this luminary stone thingy that, is a whole separate problem that they do also solve. So they're working on those. So those are their 2 projects. And eventually, the main character tells Rhiannon and Riddick and Sawyer, I think that's the other one. And they eventually and they get the King's son involved. Because, of course, the King's son knows what's going on, and he fucking hates his father. So, they eventually get him involved, and he helps them out. They steal the books, but Violet immediately gets caught and loses one of the books. And they torture her, and then at the end, Zayden mounts this, like, big rescue mission, trying to expose the truth. And you find out the mother was, like, sympathetic this whole time. That, her original reason for putting Violet into the Writer's Quadrant was because the scribes had planned to, like, use her as, like, a replacement to, keep the propaganda going, and the mother intentionally did everything. Like, it's basically like the mother is a complicated person. She did some good and all of her bad, even though she definitely did some bad. She reminds me of White Diamond. Like, honestly, listening to myself describe that, I'm like, oh yeah, it reminds me of the Diamonds, where they've done a bunch of bad things, but they're not beyond redemption, even though the mother is definitely going to die at some point. So you had that. So, right, she gets broken out, and then as they're breaking out, it's like, well, we have to tell everybody the truth and give them a choice. Do they stay or do they leave? And she ends up convincing, like, a bunch of people to leave, including her, like, entire Fourth Wing squadron. So they all leave to go up into the mountains where, the secret base is with the brother and everything. like 2 chapters later, the sister shows up, and you know, you get the brother and sister reunited. And then you go on the side quest to go get the luminary thing that they need for the forge, and you have all 3 siblings, and then Zayden shows up because of course he does. And so previously they had mentioned like Kat, who was, you know, had some sort of close connection to Zayden. And now you finally find out that, hey, Zayden and Kat were like a political engagement where they were supposed to be married because he's technically like the king of this like kingdom that doesn't exist anymore, but it's technically like his dad would have been king, so that his dad's dead, that makes him king, and this cat girl only wants to marry him because that would make her a queen, and she's already kind of a queen. Shit like that. But yeah, they go to this like seaside kingdom. They're able to get the luminary from this guy, and then in exchange for the luminary, I guess Griffin College was like destroyed, so they have to take in all like it's like 100 Griffin riders or something wild like that, and instead it's like, oh well, you know, we got to sneak them into the kingdom by going through this like path, and it's like parapet, right? Like they're kind of like recreating what they're doing. This is where we find out the whole thing about like, for Griffins, life actually has like value. We find out that the Griffins version of threshing, if you fail, you don't get a second chance if you fail once. But if you fail, you don't die. Like in threshing, if you fail, you just die, right? You're fucking dead. Parapet, you know, all that stuff. No, for the Griffins, it's just like, oh, well, you failed? Well, go join the infantry then. So yeah, that's, you know, the Griffin characters are okay, you know. I definitely feel like they add, like, an interesting dynamic to things, because, like, the units are, like, starting to, like, blend, where, like, the Griffins are working together with the dragons, and, you know, they cause all sorts of problems. They eventually get a chance to beat the shit out of each other, to, you know, try to resolve their differences, because there's a bunch of bad blood between them. I like that when they leave, a bunch of teachers go with them as well. Like, it's not just, like, the kids. It's like some of the teachers also know about some of the bullshit and have been, like, actively trying to help them. That was good. They kill that one asshole, you know, the commander asshole. A lot of Iron Flame has reminded me of the second Hunger Games book. Like, that's, like, you know, oh, it's like, oh, it's the Hunger Games. We're gonna go back and do the Hunger Games again, right? We're, like, back in the arena. That's kind of what it reminds me a lot of that, because it's like, oh, we're doing parapet again. Oh, we're doing classes again, right? It's like we're doing the same shit, just like slightly different. But yeah, that one Varish guy who is like, oh yeah, he, you know, that point in the second Hunger Games, Catching Fire, where they bring in that one overseer who's just an asshole who like whips Gale in public. Yeah, it's just him. It's just him again. Torture and all. So that happens. They eventually get there, they make the thing, they make the forge. They're learning about, like, ruins now. Where I'm at, they're learning about ruins. And they're, like, trying to make weapons. They figure out how to make the ward. They have to use, like, dragon's blood, I think, or something like that. Dragon's life. But when they do that, it takes away the Griffin's powers. So they're, like, trying to, like, find a way to do it without doing it, right? Like, they want to make the ward, but they don't want the Griffins to be powerless. There's, like, the Venin are, like, vastly approaching. Like, they're getting closer and closer. And now they're on, like, and where I left off, they're, like, on a scavenger hunt. And then that Varish guy, his dragon shows up and tries to kill them. And I think that's where I ended off. Yeah. But you know, again, it's been okay. I definitely am not... Dean and Violet make up. Like, they don't... like, obviously she doesn't trust him. But, like, they're on better terms because they're trying to, like... they're trying to figure out the diary to figure out how to make the wards. There's more spice. Yeah, of course there's more spice. Again, the way some people on TikTok describe this book, I was kind of expecting more. I feel like so far I think there's only been like 2 spice scenes, and I'm like 50 chapters in. That feels relatively constrained, compared to some of these other books I've heard about. I don't, maybe my expectations are skewed by 50 Shades of Grey, which is just a fucking awful book. Like, everything wrong about Spice is that. Colleen Hoover, Sarah J. Maas. Let's not, let's just not go into that. Fuck Colleen Hoover. Fuck her. Fucking Haunting Adeline. Ugh. So, yeah. But, I've been enjoying it. Yeah, is it kind of, like, fucking romantic trash? Yeah, kind of. But I'm still enjoying it, If I wasn't having fun, I'd tell y'all. And I want to make that very clear. Right, there you can get good things out of cliches. Right, cliches don't just sprout out of nowheres. They exist because, they're doing something right. Even when they're overused, right, they were still, in theory, doing something right. In theory. Okay, I say in theory because, I think of stuff like Mickey, where it's like, just because a song will be remembered for the rest of time, for the rest of humanity anyways, does not mean it has to be good. Just because a cliche is popular does not mean it is good. But, I can have fun with stuff. So, yeah, anything else? No, I'll definitely, by the end of next week, I will be done with the book. Again, I think I'm at, like, chapter 50-something, and there are 60-something chapters, so I'm pretty close to being done. Probably, like, 6 hours. I think the audiobook has, like, 6 hours left. That's, like, nothing. That's nothing. I could do that, like, tomorrow. If I really needed to. So yeah. Next up, the actual show stuff. Let's talk about Bluey. So the finale of Bluey came out. I'd heard some people say it was like the series finale, or at least that they're not making any more episodes for like a few years, that the show's kind of on indefinite hiatus. And I feel like that statement has changed a lot in the past few weeks, because I was hearing like the show's going on indefinite hiatus like 6 months ago, and now that the episode's actually like coming out, I feel like that sentiment's changed a lot, and it seems to just be going on maybe a year-long hiatus. Nothing worse than like Invincible. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. This final episode, The Sign, if this was the series finale, I think this would be the end of a perfect show. Right? I think this is the perfect place to end it on. It'd be like if you ended The Simpsons on season 8. Right? Where it's like, you had a great 8-run season, you never jump the shark, and you just end on a really good episode. That's not perfect, mind you, but it's a really good episode, right? Ending The Simpsons on Itchy, Scratchy, and Poochie, it's not a perfect episode, but it's still a really good episode that had something to say, and was really the last time The Simpsons had something to say. Even though I still do enjoy the Simpsons movie, but that's a story for another day. So in the previous episode, Ghost Basket, it was like the kids were like playing as the grannies again, one final appearance. And then the big twist at the end is that they're playing like grannies selling the house. When you find out, no, the parents are actually selling the house. And like that's the big twist ending at the end of the episode. So now this next episode, it's Rad and Frisky's wedding. But they're also selling the house. Bluey doesn't want to sell the house. Bingo doesn't care. And the dad's like, this is something I have to do to give my kids a better life. Because, we're moving to a place with a better job where I make more money. Chili, meanwhile, doesn't want to move, but she's trying to be supportive. Because, again, she hopes that deep down this is the best. Meanwhile, stuff with the wedding is falling apart because Frisky's getting cold feet. So the kids have to, like, go chasing after her. We had some really cute moments. Right, most of this episode is Chili, the mom, and the 4 kids, right? Bluey, Bingo, Muffin, and Socks. And they're just chasing after Frisky. They go to, like, the store. They go to the They go to like a cafe, right? They stop at like a park. And then they eventually find her. There's this big thing about, like, early on, Calypso tells a story about, like, oh, well, right, you never know if something is good or bad. You just kind of gotta wait and see. Right? It's the quote that I immediately thought of was the Dimension 20 quote. Bad things happen to good people because things happen all the time, and it is up to you to determine whether they're good or bad. We'll get back to that in a minute, obviously, but that's what I thought of immediately. So eventually, right, meanwhile, the house has been sold to these dogs without eyes. The wedding goes, right, eventually Rad shows up. They talk about it, and because the whole reason the wedding's almost pushed off is because Rad wants Frisky to move out to the coast with him, and she doesn't want to do that, right? This is where her family and all of her friends are. So, right, and in the end, it's like, right, they eventually make up, and they're having the wedding, and the dad's like, how'd you do it? And he's just like, oh, well, we're just not going to move. And he's like, you can just do that, right? You're able to just do that? And he's like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. So yeah, we get there's a bunch of callbacks to previous episodes in this one. We find out that Chili's sister Brandy, I think it's Brandy, is pregnant, right? She was the one who couldn't, right? She wanted something a lot that she couldn't have. Well, turns out she's pregnant. Oh god, that's so good. We find out that one of the big conspiracy theories in the show is what happened to Bandit's dad, because he shows up early on in the show in the flossing episode, and then you don't see him again for the rest of the show. So, there was always that conspiracy theory that he died. Well, in this episode, they're like, no, he actually spent the entire rest of the show in India. Right? He went to India for his 3/4 life crisis to try to discover himself. So they poke fun at that. We see the grandparents floss again. So that's another callback. There's a bunch of other little things that I'm completely forgetting. The butterfly from the Slip and Slide episode comes back. That's another cute little reference. What else? God, there's so many other things. But so after the wedding, right, it's finally time to move. This is where Bingo finds out that moving means you no longer live at the house. So she's heartbroken, but Bluey tells her a story, and they're all getting ready to move. Meanwhile, the two dogs are looking over the city. And earlier in the episode, Bluey, Bingo, Muffin, and Socks had tried looking in a telescope, but their coin got stuck. And now these dogs are looking for their house in the thing, but they don't have a coin. So they find the coin. And while looking through the telescope, you find out that so another callback is that the Terrier's mom is dating Winton's dad. Right? They're kind of hooking up. It's more of a throwaway thing in a previous episode, right? I think Winton brings up that his dad's divorced or something like that. Well, it finds out they're moving in, and as a result, they're selling their house, and that the eyeless dogs wanted a house with a pool, and their house has a pool. So they decide to no longer buy the house, and this big cause and effect finally gets banned, right? He hears about it on the phone, and he throws out the sign, and they decide they're not moving. Is it kind of a cop-out ending? Yes. Because I do feel like there is a very good story to be told to teach kids that it's okay to move, right? That moving houses is, an adventure. It's going somewhere new, right? It can be scary, but it can be okay. And at the end, they do kind of cop out, but it also makes for, a really sweet, really heartwarming episode. The ending moment of them just kind of sitting around a box eating food and just how much they love each other, it's really good, and it makes for a perfect series finale. Like I said, if this is where the show ended, this would be a perfect place for the show to end. It's not theoretically, but if they do, they ended on a great note. So I enjoy this episode. Again, I compare Bluey to The Simpsons because it is the modern day Simpsons. It is the best show you know, of that style. Like, The Simpsons was like, you know, family animated sitcom. And nothing else has really captured what The Simpsons has done since The Simpsons, including The Simpsons themselves, who, again, haven't been good in like 20 plus years at this point. But Bluey is like the first show where I'm like, yeah, this is just as good as The Simpsons. This captures the spirit. The show is amazing. And I still stand by that. And if this is where they end, perfect ending. Yeah, it's still one of the best shows of all time. So, that's where the episode ends. That's where the show ends, theoretically. But I have one more thing. So, that Dimension 20 quote I mentioned earlier. Right? Bad things happen to good people because things happen all the time. And it is up to you to decide whether they're good or bad. You, mortal beings, are the mode by which the universe thinks. By which the universe feels. Or no, you mortal beings are the mode by which the universe cares. If you care, the universe cares. If you don't, then it doesn't. You know, I've heard the quote like 100 times in the past few days, and you think I would have it memorized, but I don't. So, when watching the episode, shortly after watching the episode, I thought of that quote and was like, you know what? I should put that quote to scenes from the episode. Right? Just take that quote, which you can easily find on TikTok, and then just animate right? Like, take scenes, like kind of like an animated, like an AMV, but do it to the episode, right? With that quote in the background, showing clips from the episode. I had the idea, but this was at like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. The next day, I completely forgot about it until, I don't know, also around like 10, 11 o'clock. And I was like, fuck it, you know, I'm just going to do it now. I'll upload it tomorrow, because it's a good idea for a video. The Dimension 20 clip, Bluey, it's relevant. I know this video is going to be a banger. So I made the video, uploaded it the next morning, and it's slowly been ticking up. And I put it on TikTok. I didn't put it on YouTube. I only put it on TikTok. And it's slowly ticking up to, I think currently it is my maybe it's my 5th. I think it's my 5th most popular video of all time. Again, I just knew it sounded like a good idea in my head. My execution isn't perfect. Like, there are definitely some minor things I could have changed in the video, just tightened up the edit a little bit more. But that's all fucking semantics at this point. It's still a good video. I stand by it. I think the quote fits the episode perfectly. Overall, I am happy with it. And yeah, it clearly shows because it got a response. A bunch of people were like, how fucking dare you? You just made me cry while I was eating lunch. How dare you? Oh, my 2 favorite things, Dimension 20 and Bluey. I never knew I needed this crossover until now. So, you know, it's doing good for me. I knew, you know, sometimes I make a video where I'm like, this is gonna be a banger, and then it gets like 5 views, and I'm like, fuck. But this one, I was like, this is gonna be a banger, and yeah, it's doing really good. It's not doing like amazing, like it hasn't got like 1 million views or anything, but for me, it's doing well. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I'm amazed somebody else didn't beat me to it. Because at the time, it felt like the most obvious thing in the world. And I was like, there's no way somebody doesn't beat me to this. And nope, somehow I made it. But I'm glad people are liking it. It's going to be years before I make something like that again. Because I'm back onto my Zelda bullshit. But for the moment, I'm happy with it. It came out good. Yeah. So yeah, that's the sign. That's Bluey. Let's talk about Fallout. Oh my god, we've been going for almost 2 hours. Shit. So Fallout, last week we talked about Fallout, and I was really enjoying the show. I felt like the first episode was a little slow. It had a lot of things to set up. It was like almost an hour and a half long. But once it did, I think it worked out pretty well. I was like, you know what, this is pretty good. And then episodes 3 through 8 were just fantastic. They just capture the spirit. They capture the spirit of Fallout perfectly. I've seen a lot of people bitching and moaning about like, oh, well, does this decanonize New Vegas? Oh, well, this happens. And that's not how it worked in New Vegas. Is New Vegas no longer canon? Todd Howard must fucking hate New Vegas. You entitled, whiny little cunts. Like, you know, if this show had come out 5 years ago, it would have been fucking awful. And now we have a really good show. And all you people can do is fucking bitch and moan about New Vegas. Man, fucking New Vegas players. They ruined New Vegas. That's not true. New Vegas is still fantastic. But, you know, Fallout is good when you don't have a New Vegas player in your ear telling you it sucks. I wonder if the guy who created that quote regrets it. You know, we always talk about these quotes of like, oh, you know, the guy who said, just enjoy things. Or the guy who said Star Wars is a movie about space wizards intended for children. Patrick H. Willems. How they regret those quotes because they've, like, completely backfired and been used by horrible people to justify horrible things. Does the guy who said that, like, when you have someone bitching in your ear telling you it's bad, do they regret that? I would guess they would. But it holds true a lot of the time, so who knows? So what happens in in episodes 3 through 8? Because I clearly don't. I'll be honest. I'm not really a binge TV guy. I don't really binge TV. But I binged this show because I was really enjoying it. I've already said before, I'm a big fan of Fallout, specifically during the pandemic. Like, I had played Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 before the pandemic. But it was really Fallout during the pandemic, playing New Vegas, that got me through the pandemic. And people like Mike Burnfire and Mitten Squad. That just made me fall in love with the series. And, so yeah, I was really excited for the show. They nail the aesthetic, the world. And yeah, you just got a lot of good things going on. We have our 3 characters, the Ghoul, Lucy, and Maximus. Right? Maximus wants to be a knight. He steals the knight gear. He ends up getting a new... Right, after the knight gear is broken by the Ghoul in the 2nd episode, he ends up fixing it, gets a new squire, who was one of his old... one of the people who used to bully him. Bullies the squire for a while. And then they end up retrieving the head, because at the end of the 2nd episode, the scientist's head gets cut off. They are the ones who end up stealing it. Then Maximus reveals who he actually is. The squire betrays him. The squire turns into a ghoul. And because the Brotherhood of Steel hates ghouls, he ends up fleeing. Maximus takes the head back to the Brotherhood. And they realize they take a fake head back to the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood realizes it's a fake, and then he's like, I'll take you to the real one. I know where it is. So that's that plot. Lucy's plot, right, she ends up getting captured by the Ghoul. She loses the head. It gets eaten by a giant, like, gulper axolotl thing. And, right, Maximus, ends up getting it back. But not before, right, Lucy and the Ghoul get dragged off. The Ghoul tries to sell Lucy for drugs, but she ends up fighting back. She gets out. She goes, meets up with Maximus, who's lost the head. They go hunt. The two of them work together to hunt it down. Eventually, they end up in a vault. Because that was one of the other... I was like... Because the vaults are such an important part of Fallout lore. I was like, are we going to see another vault in this show? And yeah, sure enough, we get this other vault, which was like at first I was like, oh, it's like a genetic testing vault, because you have fucking Jerry from Rick and Morty, who's only got one eye. You've got a person with multiple noses. And yeah, the vault's technically something like that. Like, they were like messing with people to like create like creatures that were immune to radiation, and they created the Gulpers. You know, it's Vault 4. It's one of the, Vault Tech, they're fucked up. But this vault took out refugees. Took in refugees after the destruction of Shady Sands. So one of the big controversial things about this show is the destruction of Shady Sands. Because, this show takes place in 2089, I think. Fallout New Vegas takes place in 2081. So this is set, 8 or 9 years after New Vegas. And in New Vegas, Shady Sands was not destroyed. Or at least if it was, they never mention it. So there had been a lot of talk like, hey, you know, Shady Sands is destroyed in this world. Right? The last time we didn't see it in New Vegas, but I'm assuming they mentioned it in New Vegas. And then at one point, Lucy walks into a classroom and there's like a board that says The Downfall of Shady Sands 2077. And then followed up by like an image of a nuke. And a lot of people, myself included, originally read that as, oh, Shady Sands gets destroyed in 2077. That was not what I guess that's not what the showrunners intended. Like, Todd Howard came out and said, like, no, that was not and admittedly, not everybody read it that way. That's how I read it, because, you know, if you're going to say destruction, downfall of Shady Sands, and then, you know, we find out the place has been nuked, I kind of see the correlation, but I also can see how you read it as, no, the nuking happened afterwards. It's, either way, I get where the contention comes from, but I think it's one of those things that can easily be explained as, no, Shady Sands, the way it's put in the show, it's just vague enough that you could be like, no, Shady Sands got destroyed after New Vegas, because technically there's like an arrow between the two events. I see it how you get from point A to point B. Like, I see the progression of, right, how you can say it was after 2077. Okay. Well, we'll have to get to the cool stuff to talk about that. But yeah, so, you know, eventually they escape Vault 4. They go back up. They find the scribe who stole the head. This is where they convince him to leave. Titus tells Lucy to take the head to get her to trade it for her father, and then he'll take a fake head to the Brotherhood. He'll escape and eventually meet back up with Lucy, because Titus really enjoys living in Vault. I keep calling him Titus because he calls himself Titus for like 2 or 3 episodes. Maximus really likes living in Vault 4. And Lucy makes him the offer like, hey, you know, my Vault isn't like Vault 4, but it's similar. And, you know, after this is all said and done, once I have my dad back, we can all head together back to my Vault, and we can live in my Vault. And, right, he takes him up on that offer, hoping he'll see her again. So that's the plan. So she eventually gets to the mountain, and yeah, we'll get back to that. Plot 3, meanwhile, is the Ghoul. The Ghoul is Walter Goggins, whose name I have now learned, does a fantastic job. He's definitely the star of the show. I'd still say Lucy's the main character, but he's the one who kind of runs away with it. Again, there are some changes that people, like, in this show, they make it, like, where ghouls have to take, like, this serum, like, this drug, or else they turn it feral, which I know is not in any of the games. But, you know, I'm actually fine with it. I don't hate the idea that ghouls who have lived long and, like, ghouls becoming feral is just kind of an inevitability. Like, you can only hold off for so long. And basically, after 200 plus years, feral ghouls are just more common a thing. And, right, people found a way to stave it off with this drug. It's not a big, like, stretch or anything like that. Again, we'll talk about it in a minute. The thing I keep kind of beating around the bush about. But, he was the cowboy at the start of the first episode. Which, I'll be honest, I did not put together I didn't put it together until, like, the 3rd episode, that they were the same. Because in, like, the 3rd or 4th episode, he says to his wife in the past, like, you know, wouldn't it be nice to just go out there, buy a ranch, and be a real cowboy? And yep, it all comes together. He got to live his real cowboy dreams. But, so his story is the most interesting. Because one of the things about most Fallout games is, right, they only take place after the world ends. Right? Like, the closest we get to, you know, something that takes place before the end of the world is the beginning of Fallout 4, where, you know, you're frozen in ice for 200 years. But no, in this, we spend a lot of time with the Ghoul, see him before the war, his wife works for Vault-Tec, we see how Vault-Tec is leading us towards the end of the world, until you eventually get the big reveal that, hey, guess what? Voltech was the ones who dropped the bombs. Which I feel like had been a theory, because there's that bomb in Megaton that, you know, has a similar looking logo to Voltech. Like, I think it's like a 2-stripe instead of a 3-stripe. So, like, I think this had been a theory that Voltech, you know, either dropped the bombs or made the bombs. I mean, Voltech does a little bit of everything. But yeah, you find out Voltech dropped the bombs. Because, you know, you gotta, if you're selling these Volts, eventually they've got to pay out. We get, like, this, like, investors meeting. Because, of course, Fallout has always been about the evils of capitalism. It's just there's a lot of people who are too stupid to realize that. Right? They don't... Fallout says capitalism bad. And they just see cowboy cool. Because, you know, people are fucking stupid. But, again, it's like people who didn't realize Homelander was a Republican. Right? That the boys is making fun of them. Some people just, you know, they want politics out of their political video game. But yeah, this, right, we get a Voltech, like, CEO meeting, because he eventually, like, meets up with this, like, Hollywood group that, you know, are the communists that are, like, trying to, you know, stop Voltech from dropping the bomb. So he spies on his wife, finds out about them dropping the bombs, and they mention, like, a bunch of crazy Volt ideas that I'm pretty sure are all references to Volts in the show. Like, I know they specifically mentioned Malton Middle School, the Malton Middle School one from Fallout 4, where they, like, killed all the parents and made super soldiers. Which is, in my opinion, it's the most fucked up Volt. Right? Like, just conceptually, the Malden Middle School one is super fucked up. Don't remember the number, I just remember it's under Malden Middle School. But yeah, from there, this is where you get the cameo from Mr. House, which everyone was freaking out about. Because, you know, you see pre-war Mr. House. I mean, as of right now, he's, what, 4 years old? So yeah, that's a neat thing. You also get the guy who created the Sierra Madre. He's another cameo. He looks completely different than he does in the game, but that's also a reference. We get a full map of the wasteland, or of all the Volts. And of course, someone on TikTok went in and was like, well, let's map it up. Let's see where all the Volts are. And some of them, like, makes perfect sense. But others, like, there's a bunch of Volts in, like, Texas, which I think, like, Dallas, like, what is it, it's not the Twin Cities. What the fuck are they called? Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin. They've got a specific name. And it might not even be in San Antonio, but I think it is. Right? Whatever those three are, right? I think that would be a perfect location for Fallout 5. I would love to see that. But no, there's like a bunch of Volts there. There was like something in like... I saw there was like one state, I want to say like Illinois, doesn't have a single Volt, which is, you know, people found that weird. But yeah, you know, that was interesting. Yeah, it was cool to see someone map that out. I love shit like that. Cartography. So yeah, from there, eventually everything collides in the observatory in California. Right? They're at the observatory, which is they say it's the new headquarters of the NCR. Again, based on that one shot. Okay, so there's two things. Either one, Sandy Shores was destroyed. But before it was destroyed, the new California Republic got a new, like, capital. Right? That maybe if they, you know, like, presuming they are the ones who are successful in New Vegas, maybe New Vegas is the new capital of the NCR. Right? Just as an example. So that's the one thing. The other possibility is that after the destruction of Sandy Shores, the California Republic just kind of fell apart. Which doesn't, like, in my opinion, that doesn't make any sense. Because, you know, the new California Republic is, like, the biggest, most stable, asterisk, faction in the Fallout universe. So the destruction of one city completely destroying the faction is weird. But the fact that it says, like, the new headquarters of the California Republic is weird. But, you know, that's what they're going with. You find out that... So the person who's, like, the head, the one who kidnapped Lucy's father... She was alive before the war, But how she was alive before the war, how she survived these 200 years, they never explain. But you basically find out that she created cold fusion before the war, right? Unlimited energy. And the chip is that cold fusion, right? It's unlimited energy. And her dream is, you know, because she lived in Sandy Shores, she was in love with Lucy's mom, big twist. And, right, the whole dream was to rebuild the California Republic, you know, unlimited energy. Something new, right? It wasn't just trying to create the systems of the old world that, you know, destroyed the world. It was trying to create something new. I guess, kind of. Even though the rest of the NCR is definitely just the old world. But, regardless. I think it's right, introducing cold fusion into the Fallout universe is very interesting. At the end of the episode, it ends up in the hands of the Brotherhood of Steel. What the fuck does that... What are the consequences of that is really interesting as well. Because, right, they're a bunch of technophobes, but they also use technology. You know, they're like the Amish, but stupider. I have nothing against the Amish. Not that they will ever know. Well, yeah, I know I don't actually have anything against the Amish. But yeah, so the three plots eventually collide, because you find out that Lucy's dad was also someone from before the war. That basically because, you know, there are control volts, every volt's got some sort of experiment, and while the original experiment seems to be 3 connected volts, they keep cutting back to Norm, Lucy's brother. That was not something I expected. I was expecting Norm and Moises Arias, like their thing, to just be like, oh, hey, look, it's the thing in the first episode. We're never going to see them again. No, surprisingly, they keep cutting back to them. They investigate, and they eventually find out that Volt 31 is like a bunch of cryotubes where a bunch of rich managers from before the war were frozen. And the goal of the 3 volts is to create, like, the best manager in the world to eventually take over the Commonwealth. Because, like, Voltech's ultimate plan was, like, their biggest ally is time. I think of that MatPat video. MatPat once did a video about how, like, the biggest threat in the Fallout universe is, right, radiation. Specifically in the fact that radiation is, like, destroying everybody's brain. I don't remember anything of the video other than that. Again, I was definitely done watching MatPat by the time that came out. But I remember something like that, and that kind of seems to be what the show is implying. That, you know, eventually, given enough time, the entire above ground will just completely fall apart, right? No matter how big or strong the California Republic gets, they'll eventually go crazy and destroy themselves. Or, you know, somebody else will do it. That kind of seems to be what they're getting at, if I'm being honest. And then there's this whole element of, like, you find out that Lucy's dad was the one who destroyed the Shady Sands. That, right, because the mother, right, once she found out the truth, she took Lucy and Norm and left, and then the dad came to take them back. But to do that, he blew up Shady Sands. The mother was turned into a ghoul. And, you know, the ghoul was kept alive by, the Moldaver, who, because again, they were in love. They're not subtle about that, which is fine. And then, yeah, eventually, you know, he escaped because the ghoul, the whole reason the ghoul's been doing everything for the past, like, 200 years, right? I know I said in one of the previous things that he's just in it for the thrill of the kill. Yeah, no, it turns out he doesn't know where his wife and daughter ended up after the bombs were dropped. Because even though in the first episode you see him with his daughter when the bombs are dropped, presumably something happened at some point that separated them. And so he doesn't know where his wife and daughter are. So he's looking for them, and Lucy's dad is like the only person who might know. But he beats up Maximus, runs off. Eventually Maximus wakes up. Because the ghoul has a really cool fight scene where he just destroys these the Brotherhood of Steel in this hallway. Because he's like, back in the day, you know, these power armors used to have a fatal flaw that got a bunch of us killed in Alaska. And I doubt they've changed that. And then he just one-shots a power armor, which is very cool. you know, again, it's the ghoul is just fucking cool. Like, I saw someone make like a hear me out about the ghoul. And it's like, no, this isn't a hear me out thing. The ghoul is just sexy. You can just fucking say it. This isn't a hear me out thing. Everybody already knows it. This is no, like, grand, like, conspiracy theory or thing or anything. He's just cool. But, so eventually, you know, after he murks Titus later, Lucy leaves Titus to go with the ghoul to find her father to get revenge. Kind of, maybe. Maximus wakes up to find Moldaver dying. And, right, saying, like, oh, you know, this is everything I dreamed it would be. And, right, we're alive here at the very end to see it. Lucy also kills her ghoul mother. Right, puts her out of her misery, because that was a thing that happened earlier. And then Maximus gets the credit for killing Moldaver, which allows him to become Knight Maximus. Because, like, that's kind of the thing in this show, right? Everyone kind of gets what they wanted, but it's a monkey's paw. It comes at a terrible cost. Maximus becomes a knight, but he loses the woman he loves. Because, yeah, him and Lucy definitely have a romantic thing. Lucy finds her father, but finds out he's a terrible person. And the ghoul, he does stuff. Okay, that one's a little bit more complicated. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting. But yeah, so and then, of course, the end cliffhanger is the dad arriving in New Vegas. So, presumably, the second season's going to take place in New Vegas. Which, there's all this speculation, like, oh, look at Todd just shitting on New Vegas fans. Listen, if Todd Howard really hated New Vegas, the show would not end on the cliffhanger of New Vegas. You guys do realize that, right? Like, come on, babe, you gotta realize that. But no, I think it's a great show. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I'm forgetting, tons of little moments. The whole Super Duper Mart thing is with the organ harvesting and whatnot. That's all fun. That's very like Fallout. Like, yeah, I can see that. The woman giving birth to the Gulpers, like, yeah, that's a super fucked up Volt experiment. The ghoul using Lucy as bait. The whole new headquarters, right, Moldaver's place, being at the observatory, yeah, totally. I could totally see something like that. There's a whole cult, right? Moldaver has like a whole cult in Vault 4, which is the one time you see naked people, because you know there's a bunch of sex jokes and whatnot, but the only time you actually see people naked, like fully naked, is in that one. Again, very, very restrained. For, you know, I honestly I would have expected nothing. So I was actually kind of surprised to see that. And again, there's so many other things I'm missing. But what I think works, because, again, it's the past stuff. We never get the past in the Fallout universe. The only thing we get is audio diaries. And sometimes that's, like, bullshit. Like, oh, who fucking cares that these cops were checking out these holotapes, that the guy Nick Valentine is a synth of was hunting down this guy who became a ghoul, and that explains how he's still alive 200 years later. Like, what a fucking mess. But no, this is actually genuine, like, hey, this is a guy from the past. We get to see the days leading up to the end of the world, and it's just really interesting. Like, you want to know what's going on. So it's all great. All the ghoul stuff is great. Some of the best stuff that we've seen from the Fallout universe. Great reveals, good twists. It all just works really well. It's just it's a really well done show. I've seen a lot of people saying, like, oh, is this the show that proves that video games are no longer bad? Or that video game adaptations? Guess what? Video game adaptations have not been bad for 4 years now. I know that's, like, yes, of course there are exceptions. The Monster Hunter movie, the Halo TV show. But those are rarer and rarer, right? For every one of those, there are 2 Sonic movies, a Mario Brothers movie, a Last of Us TV show, right? There are tons of video game stuff now that, because it's that people started taking it seriously. That's, I think, the big thing, is that since video games make more money than television, at some point someone had to start taking things seriously. At some point, the people who grew up playing these games as a kid are now old enough to work on these shows and movies as adults. Because that's like the Mario Brothers movie in the 90s. Nobody who actually played Mario Brothers as a kid made that movie. Right? That was more... Admittedly, that movie is a very interesting movie. That definitely has some very interesting design philosophies. Does it make it a good Mario Brothers movie? No. Does it make it a good movie? Potentially. Right? It's definitely that people... Like, you see this thing in books right now, where you get these, like, Hollywood writers who are like, oh yeah, who cares if this book has sold millions of copies and has a well-established fan base? This is a fucking book written by some hack. I'm a professional Hollywood writer. I can write something better than any book writer, fucking J.R.R. Tolkien, fucking George R. Martin, fucking guy who wrote the Witcher books, person who wrote the Wheel of Time books, right? Where you just get these shitty TV show adaptations of good books because these Hollywood writers think they're better than the people who wrote the books. And it's like, no, you're not even fucking close. Video games kind of have the opposite problem, where Hollywood writers are better than the people who do video games, but as a result, they have no respect for the video games and just kind of do whatever they want, which results in total disasters. Yeah, it's kind of a fucking mess, but now that people are actually taking things seriously, you know, they just announced Keanu Reeves is going to be playing Shadow the Hedgehog, and I am so excited. Like, yeah, it's not Hayden Christensen, but Keanu Reeves is going to do a fantastic job. It's going to be great. The Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is going to be fantastic. I'm desperately waiting for a trailer. I'm super excited for that Knuckles show next week. Yeah, no, I have full faith. This Fallout show has already been greenlit for a second season, and I think it goes into production, like, later this summer. Like, they'll be... I mean, when I say production, I mean they'll be shooting the show. Like, this ain't some fucking Stranger Things Euphoria bullshit, where we're gonna have to wait another 10 years for the next season. We're never getting a third season of Euphoria, by the way, just FYI. That got kind of indefinitely delayed this week. Again. But no, this is like genuinely like, hey, guess what? We're already getting another season. Because that's what, you know, that's what shows need to do. They need to trust that people know what the fuck they're doing. They can make a good show so you can give them multiple seasons at one time. The fact that I'm going to have to wait another 3 years for the next season of Percy Jackson, it fucking sucks. But no, this Fallout show is amazing. You should go watch it. It's easily the best thing on right now. Like, no doubt. If you have never played one of the games, guess what? You're going to be perfectly fine. My parents have been watching the show, and they've, outside of like the first episode, they have had no struggles with the show whatsoever. Because I was talking to them about that. So yeah, highly recommend this Fallout show. It is great. It's one of the best shows on right now. One of the best shows ever? No, but it's one of the best shows on right now. So yeah. I guess that takes us to the outro. Alright, let's do some shells. Let me boot up my shells real quick. Okay, so we should get a drink... Did we get a drink ticket from this? Yeah, we should get a drink ticket from this. Well, let's use this one first. Okay, we got a drink ticket. And now we have 7 conch shells. Okay, we get stickers. We're going to get a splash tag. A title, I mean. Next, we're going to get some decorations. We're going to get an experience sandwich coupon thingy. Food ticket. We're going to get some decorations. Some stickers. And finally, some ability chunks. So I've you know, so the Splatoon 3 seed gear checker thingy has a way to check conch shells, and it's something I've always like been saying like, oh, I have to do that at some point, and then I never actually have done it. But like during the last Splatfest, I sat down and I'm like, you know what, let's actually do it, and I did it, and sure enough, now we have an accurate seed checker. I also have one for non-Splatfest as well. I also took care to do that. Oh, rabbits! Alright, so we got normal Splatfest, Callie and Marie here. Let's check the shops. Let's check the shops while we're here. Nothing, nothing. We got some shoes. And we got some catalogs. A mystery box. Okay. Alright, I'm curious to see what Pearl and Marina's thing is. Because this is a special Splatfest. I mean, we have the bubbles and everything. And during the last few special Splatfests, they've given the characters, like, special costumes. So, well, Callie and Marie's didn't look that different. I wonder if Pearl and Marina's are going to. Yeah, that's not their traditional Splatfest outfits. It reminds me more of their Chaos and Anarchy outfits. Yeah, no, those actually look really nice. Pearl's, yeah, it feels very, like, you know, punk. And hers. Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's cool that they gave them some new outfits for the special Splatfest. I wonder if they did anything for Deep Cut. Let's go find out. Because I swear in the last Splatfest, they were just rocking their normal gear. Again, I still do kind of wish they had just given them their updated gear. But, like, what are you going to do? Because I do really like their updated gears. No, I think she looks about the same as usual. Oh no, isn't there a big... I mean, they're more colorful, definitely. Yeah, oh, you know, she's got flowers. No, there is some changes. Not like a full outfit change like some of the previous Splatfests. There have definitely been some changes. Oh, having the mochi in her hair, that's cute. Yeah, that's cute. So yeah. Yeah, look how colorful that is. And you know, an Easter Splat... I think this is their first ever Easter Splatfest. Not terrible. Not terrible Splatfest at all. So, I guess that takes us to the end. What's coming up? Who knows? Maybe we'll do Fallout 4? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. If we do Fallout 4, I think... The way I was thinking about it is instead of doing the story campaign, instead of spending 1,000 hours exploring everything... I want to set out where I'm like, okay, I have a list of quests I want to do. Because the story in Fallout 4, love that game, love it to death, the story fucking sucks. Who gives a shit about finding your son? Instead, what I'd want to do is be like, oh, we have to do a certain number of quests. Or we have to do, like, certain, like I'd pick out, like, a list of quests I want to do. And then once we've done all those, that's where it ends. Instead of, you know, trying to complete the story because the story's fucking stupid. Like, you know, and quests would be like The Last Voyage of the USS Constitution, The Silver Shroud, Secret of the Cabot House, stuff like that. Go fight the Mechanist, right? Dressed as the Silver Shroud. You know, I'd want to do, like, fun stuff like that, because that's the best part of Fallout 4. But that's also the most time-consuming part of Fallout 4, so who knows? We're probably not going to do Fallout 76. Like, I know I said that earlier, like, I tried to boot up the game. I'm not going to stream Fallout 76. I might play it off stream, but not on stream. I think I'm good. Yeah. Anything else? Oh god. So I see the ship sides with like the C's, and that makes me think Sugar Conroy. And Sugar Conroy put out a statement this week. Go read it for yourself. I definitely see that he's trying to improve. right? That he's trying to improve. Because it's always like, oh, well, you know, we throw these people out to the wolves. And it's like, okay, they've done bad things, or maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But, right, they've done bad things. Now what the fuck do they do? Are their lives just ruined forever? Is the only option for them to kill themselves? Because he talks about how he considered committing suicide in his thing. In his big, like, response. And it's just like, yeah, no, it's a mess. But go read it for yourself. That's all I'm gonna say on that. It's such a mess. Again, all your heroes will destroy you. You know, even if he's done nothing wrong, which he might have done, or, you know, anything he did, he's learned. He's a different person, which is something I've always said, or at least I've been saying a lot for like the past few years, is that the person you were like 10 years ago doesn't exist anymore. That guy's dead. You're a completely different person now. Right? I say that about Achievement Hunter a lot. That's what I'm always talking about. Is like, you know, the Achievement Hunter you loved as a kid doesn't exist anymore. They're dead. And I mean, Rooster Teeth is about to be dead in like a week's time. Right? Like, I think the final Rooster Teeth stream is on the 26th. And the actual, like, company dies on, like, the 1st. Like, the first week of May. So, yeah. That's a fucking downer note to end on. Fallout. I don't know. I'm sure I had something else planned for stream. I want to do some other in-chat game other than Splatoon. I was thinking about maybe just doing Princess Peach for in-chat, because it's a game I keep pushing off, but I keep pushing off for that exact reason, so I have no idea if I'm going to do that. Because I do need to play that game, man. I might enjoy it. I might not, but I might. But no, instead I'm playing games with no substance, because I want to I want to listen to an audiobook. Oh, I got new headphones. The previous headphones, fucking hated, so I got new ones. You know, so big thing in headphones nowadays is all their like noise canceling. Like, oh, look at the noise canceling on these headphones. Can I be honest? I don't like noise canceling headphones. Like, when I have the noise canceling on, it's like, right, everything, all the noise out. Like, on planes, it's fine. I get noise canceling on planes. But, like, outside of that, and, like, just my day-to-day life, like, if I'm just sitting here playing a video game, listening to a podcast, I do not want noise canceling on. I don't like, because it feels like everything's so silent, like, I can hear myself breathing, and it just, like, fucks with me. It's like, you know, you pay attention to yourself breathing, and now you're, like, thinking about it, and you're, like, focusing on it, and it just fucks me up. So I do not like noise canceling. Instead, they have, like, an ambient mode, where you can, like, hear things around you, and it's like, oh my god, that's so much better. Because I can hear my voice as if I'm not wearing headphones. Same thing with talking. I don't like talking with noise canceling, because I'm, like, hearing, like, myself muffled, and it just sounds wrong. Right? Like, when I do this show a lot of the time, before anyways, I used to only have one headphone in. Right? I would only have one ear covered, because I need to hear myself talk. Right? It just sounds wrong. But with this, like, ambient mode, it's basically the same thing. Right? I can hear myself talking. And these headphones, I guess, are really good, because it sounds as if I'm not wearing headphones at all. Like, I'm just hearing my voice normally. And, oh my god, that's so much better. That is so much better than it was before. When I had, like, both headphones in, and it was just like, oh god, this fucks me up. That's, like, the one time I bought, like, a gaming headset with, like, you know, all the fancy LEDs and the mini colors. I fucking hated wearing it. Because me talking into it just sounded wrong. Like, I just sound, like, I know I hate my own voice. Everybody does. You always hate your own voice. But listening to myself, like, muted through headphones, is fucking way worse. I don't know. There's this disconnect I just can't get past. But, you know, having this ambient mode's a lot better. Oop. Oops, I hit the wrong. I'm trying to turn it on right now. Yeah, this just sounds wrong. It's like I'm hearing my voice vibrate through the headphones. Yeah, no, I hate this. I hate this so much. Yeah, I can hear myself breathing. It's like, I know those like anechoic chambers where... Yeah, I know those like anechoic chambers where you can like hear your heartbeat and your like blood vessels pumping. Like, I know it's not as bad as that, but it's still pretty like fucked up. Okay, I'm stalling at this point. But yeah, I got new headphones and I'm happy with them. So, yay. With that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.